the good old days. So I saw Pacific Rim Uprising, and I'm just telling you what I think of it. First of all, how do I feel about original Pacific Rim? I loved it. I really think it's a good movie. It may not have the most sound plots, but it's entertaining. It's very simple, very straightforward. Guillermo del Toro shows that he really likes this kaiju genre. I'm a big fan of like kaiju movies. I've seen all the Godzilla movies from the 80s. My favorite one was Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. If you haven't seen it, check it out. So the sequel, it's basically take place 10 years after the original one. Again, I don't know why they couldn't just like follow right afterwards. I think it has something to do with like Charlie Hunnam had a contract dispute, or he was filming King Arthur, he couldn't make it. So that's why they're saying like, you know what, instead of trying to fit all the character in, have like more clear storyline, let's just start with the kids, because nowadays with Stranger Things and stuff, kids is the new selling point. And that's basically the whole movie. John Boyega is playing the son of the previous hero, Pentecost, the guy who said like, we're canceling the apocalypse. And basically he is the main hero, and he has to lead the new people to Uprising. That's basically the storyline. You fight monsters and stuff. So first of all, I'll say what I like about it. I really liked the action. Like whenever there's a monster involved, it looks pretty good. One thing when I saw the trailer I was afraid of is they turn it into another Transformers movie, you know, with all the quick cutting, jumbled mess, random slow motion. They didn't do that, thank God. There is a lot of like clever camera tricks, just like in Pacific Rim, to make the Jaeger looks big and menacing. And I think they did a pretty good job with that. The sound design was really, really good. And its cinematography was also really, really good. Again, I feel like this is the best trait in both Pacific Rim movies. Oh, I'm supposed to do a review. I don't know, I'm just watching a better movie right now. Everything else about this movie sucks. There's no other way around it. The story was really unorganized. It's almost falling into Transformers territory, but not as stupid and not as random, not as bad as any of those. But that's not really saying much. My biggest complaint about the story is that like the structure is very disorganized. In first Pacific Rim, again, it's no masterpiece. There is a lot of plot holes, but you can actually tell which is which. You can tell like when the 3 arc started. Do you know what I'm saying? The 3 arc, the really simple one, the beginning, middle, and an end. There were 3 big fights in the film, and they bookmarked each period. Again, it's nothing special, but Mr. Del Toro did it really, really good. But in here, I've seen this movie twice, and I don't know where's the second arc. I couldn't find the beginning and an ending to it. And there was a lot of subplots, and it was just feel like things randomly happening. I mean, yeah, not every movie has to have a 3-arc structure, like Memento, which is a really, really good movie. But you're making a very stupid and simple Hollywood blockbuster. Just follow the 3-arc structure. It's really not that hard thing to do. Which brings me to the editing of this film. The editing felt really weird, especially every time when two people have a dialogue or there is a subplot going on. It often felt like there is a beginning and a middle to the dialogue, and there's no resolution. It doesn't. I felt like whoever edited or whoever directed the film, Travis D. Knight, he directed it. He also made Buffy. He also writes Buffy. And I can't believe like somebody who worked on such a talented show actually made a film that doesn't know how a dialogue begins and ends. And this doesn't only apply to dialogues. There were certain scenes in the film, like certain there were like conflicts in the film, like two characters get into arguments with one another, and there is no development, there's no resolution, it just ends. It's like, what? Oh yeah, this brings me to the characters of the film. There's no personality to any of them. It's just, they're just there. I mean, there's no trait to anything. I mean, in the previous film, a certain character has some traits that makes them stands out, that makes them remembers more. Idris Elba, Pentecost, is like a leader, and he shows he has leadership. The speech he gave was very, very energetic, and it was like one of the favorite parts in the film. Marco in the previous film, she's very young and she wants to get into the fight. She and Riley Beckett has a really good chemistry, and I do remember those characters' name because they're very likable. Here it's just, I don't know, it felt like they cast John Boyega and said like, hey, we saw you at Attack of the Block, you're pretty awesome, just do exactly the same thing you did at the Attack of the Block. I mean, in Attack of the Block, John Boyega has charisma, but here it's like he's an asshole, but he doesn't have any charisma. And Scott Eastwood, they say like, hey, you look like Chris Evans, and we saw you in the Fate of the Furious. You did such a good job in Fate of the Furious. Why not do the same thing again? And he's just like a white boy just being there. And then there's like a 14-year-old girl. She's almost like a duplicate copy of the girl in Transformers The Last Night. I think what they did is try to like, female power. Yeah, we're gonna make this movie for feminine, you know, Wonder Woman and stuff, you know, Me Too movement, time's up. We need some characters like that. But she doesn't contribute anything. Like, not until the very end, randomly, she's like, I know how to do certain things, I'll save the day. It was just like, what? Like, she doesn't have any, like, really good characteristic to her. I mean, like, everyone, like, there is a lot of, like, kids, like, you know, this is, like, the fight for the next generation, and they brought a lot of kids into it, but none of them has anything to remember. Just look at their design. They're so bland. Like, this is, like, the design for the first Pacific Rim. I mean, just look at their characters, and you can tell something about them. That's what really great about Del Toro, even if his script isn't good, just by the design of the characters, you can tell so many words. That's what I like about movies. Like, you know, it's a motion picture. A picture speaks more than 1,000 words. I don't need to hear, like, people giving me a speech to make me understand the characters. I just need to look at them. But look at the characters in Pacific Rim Uprising. What can you tell me about any of the characters? That's right, nothing. You know nothing. And same goes with the design of the Jaegers. I mean, like, in the previous film, they didn't have much to do. They don't have much screen time. But they have, like, a character. They have, like, a feature that makes you remember them. The Russian one is, like, really tough, and the Asian one is very agile. There, I can just summarize it in one word. And here is just, they're there. One has a sword, the other has a whip, and the other one has a rolling ball? It's like, what? Now, I know some of you may like this film, but here's a challenge. Name me one character, new character, or new Jaeger in the film. Just name me one thing. Because I can guarantee you, if you walk out of the cinema, you're not gonna remember anyone's name. And the music is also very bland. It's like stock music. The previous one has some really energetic theme. Like there was like a theme that you can actually remember, take away from. But here it doesn't have anything. Why do I keep on comparing it to the previous film? Because the previous film was good. There was a lot of people complaining about the previous film being dumb, but they did the simplest thing right. See, sometimes in movies, especially blockbusters, you don't need to do anything special. You just need to do the simple thing right. But this film, you can't even do that. But you know what's the worst thing about this movie is? This movie, I don't think it's made for American audiences. Or like any other international audiences. I feel like this movie is pandering to China a little bit way too hard. Like, every single significant character were Chinese. Now, honestly, I'm Chinese myself, and I want to see Chinese film being successful. I mean, there are a lot of really, really great Chinese films that I want to promote. Donnie Yen's Ip Man trilogy were great. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and what was the other one? Hero. Most of the film made by Zhang Yimou, they were really, really good, and I really want people to see them. There was a lot of Hong Kong movies in the 90s that were brilliant. Even in the 2000s, like Kung Fu Hustle. They're really, really good films, and I do want a lot more people to see Chinese movie, to see Mandarin language movie, but not in this way. Here, it just felt like they use it as like a marketing scheme, and it kind of ruined the movie. There was like a 10 minutes plot where the characters were talking in Mandarin, and then like she was talking to the American guy, I think Charlie Day was his name, and then like she was saying like, you need to learn Mandarin, you know? It's very important. It was like, how much more obvious can you get? It's kind of like that one 5-minute scene in Iron Man 3 nobody's seen apart from China. It was just made for the Chinese audience so that they can sell more box office or whatever. I think Hollywood needs to stop that. It's not as stupid as Transformers, Age of Extinction, or Last Night, where it's just so aggressive to the point it's getting annoying. I feel like you don't need to try that hard. As long as you make good movies, entertaining movies, I feel like anyone in the world will pay money to see your movie. So that's basically my thoughts on Pacific Rim Uprising. I give it like a 5.5 or 5. Yeah, I was thinking 5.5 out of 10. So the way I rate movie is this: anything above 8.5 is like great film, really, really good, and worth buying on Blu-ray, worth my collection. 7.5 were like decent movies. Anything above is good. Anything below is like okay or worse. 6.5 is like the line of mediocre movie for me. 5 was below a 5 was just like pure garbage shit, like the two shitty Starship Troopers movie, Cloverfield Paradox, and Ridiculous 6. Fucking hate that movie. So giving a 5.5, I felt like that's a fair grade I give. It's not god awful. It's the best way to summarize it is that it's one of those YouTube clip movie. Do you know what I mean? Like there's like one or two really good fight scene, and you just watch it on YouTube. It doesn't really piss me off. It's just so boring and forgettable. I mean, if you're planning to see it, if you really like it, more power to you. I have no problem with it. I know why you like it. But for everyone else, just watch on YouTube when the movie is finished. So yeah, to sum up this video, if you have an urge to pay Universal $12, $13, $8 to pay to see Pacific Rim Uprising, buy this film on Blu-ray and support Mr. Del Toro's work, because this is way better than whatever Uprising is coming. You know, this is entertainment. That one was an advertisement.